Cheeto-y glaze.
Oh, the glistening dust of Doritos.
My mic stand is not cooperating right now. There we go.
My brother attended a seminar for some corporate programmers thing, and I guess there was people there from one of the big Dorito or chip company, Lay's, whatever, and they were saying how they know how to make Doritos and Cheetos and all these like dusty chips. They know how to make it taste exactly the same without the dust, and they put the dust in on purpose because they say it's quote unquote part of the experience. Fuck that.
How many car wrecks they caused because of that dust?
Yeah, exactly. How many
lives?
How many millions
could have been saved?
Right. Exactly. How many millions of bacteria have I consumed regrettably licking my fingers with those freaking dust?
Very audibly.
Audibly, yes.
Erotically.
Lip smacking.
I feel like we had the same conversation not that long ago because I also said the little green and red flecks on Cool Ranch Doritos don't actually have any flavor. They're just there for
aesthetics. Yeah, aesthetics. So
if I want my chips to be dressed for Christmas, I'll find something else. I'll get those tortilla chips that are red and green.
Scoops, man. Tostitos scoops. I can't live without them.
Oh.
They're fucking good.
The whole grain ones are awesome.
You can keep your whole grain, pal.
Dude, no,
I got a girl with figure to worry
scoops
about.
Are amazing. So much better.
Well, Snakes and Stogies episode 137.
Here we are. It's brought to you by BlackBox Cages. Damn. Oh my God.
Why is Nathaniel in the middle? This is weird.
BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. I finally have my XT4 together. My light bulbs come tomorrow, and the Ackies are going to be going in here soon. So
deep.
They're going to have so much space, they're not going to know what to do with it.
I like it.
It might even freak them out. I may not see them for like weeks. But as long as they're happy, that's all that matters.
That's what it's about, baby. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I did an assembly video and stuff, and that's going on the BlackBox YouTube channel, which they do have. You should check it out. And then I have another video on setting up the lights and fixtures and things like that. That still has to be edited and sent over to Jen. And then I'm going to have one here on this channel that just shows like the setting up with the decor and whatnot and the typical pet tuber bullshit. So see my scale, babies. And then Puget Sound Pythons, check them out. Facebook, Instagram, good people. The Gendra.
We love them. They're family.
Yeah, you asked why Nathaniel is in the middle, and it's like, why wouldn't he be? I don't know.
Because he is our cream filling.
Yeah.
Let's just be real here.
That's not where I was going with that, but
that's where I was hoping you'd go with that.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Ask and you shall receive.
Love it.
What are you smoking tonight, Phil?
Tonight, I felt like it's something a little mild, so we're going with the Gurkha Beauty.
That sucks.
What do you mean it sucks? I enjoy it. This is the like one of the only light smokes that I enjoy. It's a good ring gauge. It's got a good color to it, a pleasant aroma.
Sure.
Yeah, I crown cut it. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's like one of the worms in Dune. What about you?
I'm going the opposite. I'm going strong, fuzz on your peaches, Jaime Garcia. But this is like some new size that I noticed that we got in. It's like a 6 by, not even a 6, probably a 5 by like 62 or something. So it's already a really strong blend. This used to be one of my favorites, and then I noticed when I smoked them, there was a few that just tasted really off, and so I kind of didn't come back to them. But I smoked a Toro earlier after work, and it was phenomenal. So I grabbed one of these, and then I have a My Father Cedrus on deck.
Oh, nice
for round 2. But I don't know, man. These Jaimes, you want something strong, something that's gonna like really kick you in the throat. These are it, and I love it.
Nice. Excellent.
Keller's here. Henry's here.
Billy Jenkins.
Billy Jenkins.
Roberto.
Damn Billy Jenkins. This is our Atractaspis Extravaganza.
Yes.
I think I'm only here because I got fucking bitten by one. You could have had Mike Clarkson on here.
No,
No.
We've tried, like we've tried to pin down Mike. He's a hard man to pin down, but not even just to talk about like his experience with that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I completely forgot that you had even been tapped by one too. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
you're
the only guy. You're the only guy we know that actually keeps them, consecutively, and I'm envious and want to learn as much as I can.
Yeah,
So,
I was like, we talked about stiletto snakes a lot, and I was like, we should do an episode. And I was like, who actually keeps those things besides Phil? And I was like, the only other person I could think of that would actually have some in any sort of like substantial number and time frame would be you.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, it's short notice. You want to come on talk stilettos? And he was like, yeah, sure. So here we are.
Yeah.
I'll always talk about those little fucks.
Dude,
I
it's
went
amazing.
through a mamba bite, and I'll take a mamba over a fucking stiletto snake bite any day of the week.
You hear that, children? Learn from that. Oh. Well, for those of you who are unaware, we're joined by Nathaniel from MToxins Laboratories. Thank you for coming on the show, my good friend.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you, man. Overdue. Well, you did a THP episode, right?
THP, but it's been like 3 years, I think, or something like that.
It's been quite a while. Yeah.
Well, then we should do like the brief synopsis, get to know your guest kind of thing. And why don't you tell us about MToxins and go from there?
Sure. So we're a high volume venom production facility located in northern Wisconsin. And we produce most of the venoms for the African antivenoms, as well as we do the monocle cobra antivenom, the king cobra antivenoms that are made out of India. And we do stuff for Central and South America. So we don't do anything North American. We also are one of only 2 labs that do snakes and invertebrates. So we do the scorpion antivenoms for Inasan and for Vin's Biopharma. Aside from that, we do tarantulas and centipedes and all kinds of stuff for evolutionary research. So we extract a lot of venom.
Awesome.
We also have a huge educational center and serpentarium located at our facility. So people get to come in and learn about all kinds of different animals that I've worked with through the years, like owls and eagles and, possums and raccoons and all kinds of crazy shit that we bring in for kids for education.
So with the scorpions that you guys are using for that, is that pretty much Androctonus and Leurius?
Correct.
You guys are focused on? Yeah.
Correct. Yep, all the big, the bicolor, the Emerexi, the Australis, and then of course the Deathstalker. Those are the big ones.
I do love me some bicolors.
Yeah, they're terrible little beasts.
And they're just little tanks, man.
They are little tanks, but what sucks is, so it takes to make a gram of their venom takes about 21,000 drops.
Whoa.
To get a gram of dry weight of venom. So they actually produce, they're super toxic, but they produce so little that I basically want to swallow a bullet, doing it. But it's for a good cause. So we put up with the bullshit.
That's
incredible. Surely, if you're doing antivenom for bicolor, then I guess people are getting stung by them pretty regularly.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
All the Androctonus I've kept, I love. They were really fun.
Hands down. I mean, with the exception of Parabuthus, I think they're definitely my favorite genus, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I really like the looks of the Australis and stuff like that. They're cool looking scorpions. But yeah, to put it as their little tanks, that's the best way I've ever heard it put.
So just ballpark, how many, Boothid do you have on site? Ballpark.
600, 600 to 700.
That's a lot of
And
bugs.
if our quotas went ridiculous, we could have to have upwards of 20,000. So we actually have additional production space, actually in our basement that we can expand into if we have to. But
Wow.
Say with 600, you could reproduce enough broods, I think, to hit that mark in no time.
yeah,
Dude, that like everyone talks about how it's painstaking to maintain and feed snakes and racks, especially when you're doing high volume like you guys. But I can't imagine having 600 or 1,000 deli cups with one bug each. Like, that's just wild, man.
Well, what's fun is like it's typically an intern job, It's the interns will do it, and my lab manager Jacob Swales, he kind of oversees it and makes sure that everybody's getting fed and everybody's getting handled. So he pretty much manages the lab for me, as far as feedings and shit like that go, because as one person it's impossible. We have 600 snakes, 600 invertebrates. It's absolutely ridiculous to try to do alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to mention you have all the logistic stuff in terms of equipment and shipping stuff out and receiving goods and the public coming in and doing presentations for them and handling the public, and it's a hell of an operation, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of screwing around, but I'll tell you something, and it sounds a little wussy, but the looks on those kids' faces, man, watching venom extractions and getting to hold even the ball pythons and the boas that we bring out and stuff for people to hold and interact with, our big berms, it makes it worth it to deal with the public,
That's awesome.
So
that's fantastic. So you guys are open how many days a week to the public?
We're only open 3 days a week to the public, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we do all our school groups and Cub Scout troops and all that kind of stuff during the week. So we don't have regular hours. We just take care of all those groups during that time.
That's great, man. That's great. Especially like you get like a Boy Scout group or some kind of extracurricular club that comes in. I feel like it's more, they get like the VIP treatment. You know what I mean? That's
for
super
sure.
Cool.
For sure. Yeah. We walk them through. What cracks me up is we do a lot of stuff with like the schools of veterinary medicine and stuff like that. And they love the same program that the kids do, hold a tarantula, feed a sulcata tortoise, they absolutely go crazy over that stuff. And it, a lot of them want to be exotic vets. So for them, it's just cool to interact with something besides a dog or a cat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just big kids.
Exactly. Big kids who love animals.
That's great, man. That's great.
So is there,
no one asked what I'm smoking.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a little offended.
Well, we can't see you, brother. Like,
Well,
sorry.
that's
What adult
true.
vices are you partaking in this evening?
This evening I'm drinking a fine Wisconsin-made. You guys can't get it outside of the state. Not this type. Leinenkugel's German beer.
Oh.
And a delicious pack of light blue American spirits.
Excellent.
Yeah, I smoked them before they were. I smoked them before they were a hipster cigarette.
You smoked them when they were $4 a pack, and that was expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is anything new in terms of projects since we had you on last?
Well, actually, funny enough, I mean, we're doing a lot more with stiletto snakes. The new anti-venom from, this is actually pretty cool. The new anti-venom from Inasan for Africa, the Pan-African version, actually now neutralizes stiletto snake bites.
Really?
Yes. So there actually is a serum now for stilettos. And
so now, and that's the lyophilized Inasan, like you said, Pan-African that covers, that's not the MENA, that's the sub-Saharan stuff.
That's the sub-Saharan. Yep.
Okay.
And
All
and that, yeah, it's now part of the mix and fully neutralizes it. So we're hoping it saves some fingers and thumbs,
Yeah.
for sure. But there's so much more to a bite from one of those than just the tissue loss.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, just because we're on the topic of the new juice, has anyone tried the Pan-African, the Sub-Saharan stuff on a Microlepidata group like Microlepidata or Angadiensis or any like the Middle Eastern stuff? Have they tested it or no?
Not the pan, just
Okay.
the Mena.
Right, but I'm saying, but you said that the Atractaspis antivenom is only in
yeah,
like has
it's
someone
only in the pan.
okay.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, has someone tried the Pan-African on a Microlepidata bite, even though it's not part of that clade?
No,
Okay.
not
Okay.
to my knowledge.
Okay. Hopefully no one has to.
I'll say you could be the first guy, Phil.
Dude,
First monkey shot in space.
Dude, I would love to have just a big Angadiensis in like a big arid display. Like, oh, that would be awesome. I digress. Sorry.
It'd be excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah, so before we get into the stiletto stuff, though, I was very curious because last time we had you on, you had mentioned that you were helping with some collection on Atheris venoms because there was supposed to be some paper coming out about those. Has that been released?
It has not been released yet.
Okay.
They're still throwing around a name for it. They're still finishing all the venom assays and everything like that. A lot of times, like, it's kind of funny. We're not supposed to talk about it, but I don't even give a shit anymore. We did this huge thing for National Geographic and like for the print magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been 3.5 years and it's not released yet. Some of this stuff just takes years.
Yeah.
It's a bit ridiculous. The scientific papers, it makes sense, but an article for a magazine, it's crazy.
I mean, they did better pre-planning their stuff for the magazines than we did.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, the deadline, we're releasing an issue in 2 weeks. Okay, we got half a magazine we got to fill up. Phil, let's find some people.
Right.
Instead, Nat Geo's like, yep, we're going to release this in about 4 years. So when you see the next Olympics are happening, be on the lookout.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the funny thing is, you go through all the work with them and their photographers and stuff are absolutely fantastic people. We worked with a guy out of Brazil, and he came up several times over those years. But it's like, you don't even know if those images are going to end up in the article.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just,
right.
You go through all this work and you just don't know what's going to happen, but it's just part of helping, publications like that do their thing.
Yeah. At least it's coming out,
And then it's funny with like my family and shit like that, they sit there and they're like, when's that article coming out, eh? And it's like, I don't know. It's coming.
He
forgets that it's even coming out. And he's like, what article?
Yeah, right. When will then be now? Soon.
Yup. Exactly.
That's good, man.
Yeah, I was just super curious about that Atheris article because I'm very anxious to read that at some point.
One thing I can say, and I don't think I said this the last time we spoke, but it'll give people a whole new appreciation. The people that'll actually read the paper that keep Atheris, it should give them a whole new level of respect for those snakes because their bites are treated like they're nothing.
Yeah.
And what's being seen in that venom, like I said, I can't say, but I'll tell you this, it's serious. That is a very, very, very serious envenomation. And so, people treat squams like they're, I don't know. I don't know a good analogy, but, it's pretty much a baby snake and it's not going to hurt you like an eyelash viper or something or a trimerceras, but they are toxic as hell. And people need to treat them with a lot more respect. That much I can say.
Yeah,
we changed the whole way we work with them now. Because
that's crazy. I feel like people treat trimerosaurus and eyelash vipers almost more weary than they do with Atheris, which is shocking to me.
Yeah, I know. And like a Waggler eye bite is not gonna, it probably won't even put you in the hospital. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I'll tell you, you get a serious squam envenomation, you're in for a serious problem.
Yeah.
There's a reason they use Echis antivenom to treat those.
Right.
See, but even then, I've heard that that's not a great solution, but it seems to do the job, at least for the most part. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's like
it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing kind of thing.
It helps with certain aspects of the venom, certain effects of the venom, but it doesn't treat everything. So you're still doing. I use the word triage, but it's not fucking triage. But you're treating part of the bite, but then you have to manage the rest of the bite a totally different way. You know, so it's multifaceted, and you know, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy a couple of years ago that was making its way around the internet, and he had a come to God moment because he got bit by a squam. I believe the gentleman was in Germany, and he got bit by a squam on the thumb of his right hand because he was being stupid and reached in the cage or something to like move a water bowl or something. And he had a small little blister, and that was it. So he said, you know what? I want to document everything. So this time he actually, you know, messes with the animal with his hand and gets a legit bite in the thumb. And he was hospitalized for like a week, and he documented everything. But like, why do that? Like, I can't. I don't understand.
You're fucking stupid.
Yeah, like it just doesn't. Like I just don't understand.
And then looking for a logic in a place it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and he didn't take into consideration like his body's already. Yes, he has antibodies to a certain extent, but his body's already gone through that trauma with that particular species. How does he know he's not going to have a completely adverse reaction again?
Exactly. How does he know he's not going to be allergic to the venom the next
right?
Yeah. People are so goddamn stupid. I could just scream.
We get it, man.
That's wild.
We get it.
It's funny too, because with squams and I guess some of that smaller stuff too, you know, like pygmy rattlesnakes, I think are a good example. It's like, yeah, you know, their yield I think is a big barrier for a lot of bigger issues. And if those snakes were twice the size they were, it would be a very, very different situation, and people would be treating them very differently. But because
it's like Boega. If Boega had a decent venom delivery system, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, that would be
even my big female Cyanea. She's big enough to where it's like I don't even want to find out.
Yeah.
That ain't a small snake. Like, not happening.
Yeah.
I get it. Crazy, man.
I love Atheris.
Yeah. They're a hell of a group, man.
Of all time.
Hell of a group. And you didn't get the new book, right? You didn't get that one yet?
I haven't yet. I need to.
Okay. So I was waiting for my new Scott and Ty book to get in the mail, which was delivered to my parents' house today.
Nice.
So I got to go pick that up, and once I get that, I'll put in for the new Atheris book, and I'll be that guinea pig and see how it is. Because if you go to Edition Chimera's website, it's super weird. Like
you have to buy it from his website, or you have to email him and buy it.
Well, yeah. So none of the other like distributor or dealers of Edition Chimera have the book, which is not that big a deal. I bought plenty of books from them directly, but it's weird because when you look at a standard either black cover or white cover Edition Chimera, it says like the name of the book, like whatever they named it. It'll have like the author's names on there. It'll have Edition Chimera on the front. Well, for the Atheris book, it's just a black screen or a black cover with a squam. That's it. There's no writing, which I thought was really weird. So I don't imagine if that's just a bad photo for the website, like they used the wrong photo for the website and the book's going to look completely different, or if that's really how it is. Could be cool. Who knows? But it looks good.
Send me that Chlorechis. Let me get it.
It's yours if you want it. It's yours if you want it. I'll be honest, I was kind of bummed. I was like, man, I really hope it doesn't turn green. I really hope it doesn't turn green. Dude, it didn't shed and it turned green. like over the course of 24 hours. Like I walk in the room, I was like, where is he? I'm like looking in the container. I'm like, oh my God, he's green. What the hell?
Damn it.
Damn it. I mean, you saw that snake, dude. That snake was neon yellow.
Yep.
Just like that overnight.
Yep.
So back on track. How are we gonna skin this pig? Where do we want to start?
First, I mean, stilettos. That's a weird little group. And if people aren't familiar, they're these little African. They're like their own sort of family and everything, right? They're not considered an elapid. They're not a.
No, they're their own.
What family. Are they?
Atractaspis.
Yes, Atractaspis. Yes.
Same thing.
Yes.
There's weird little snakes in Africa that look kind of like if you mixed like a burrowing python and a Mexican black king together.
Yeah, yeah.
Stubby little dorky looking things, but beneath that cute, unassuming facade, there is just hell waiting to be unleashed. And they don't. So they've been deemed by a lot of people as like the unpinnable snake because instead of striking in sort of the typical manner of like forward, mouth open, they kind of just slip that fang out under the top lip there and just jab you with it kind of sideways. And that's why they call them stiletto snakes. So I believe.
Yeah.
And from what I've been told, bites really, really, really suck. It doesn't sound like no one's died. Has anybody died from one?
Yeah, there's been a lot of fatalities, actually.
Has there really?
Yeah. Yeah, not as many as people probably make out to be, but there's been, and especially with the microlipidota clade, like all the Egypt through Israel and the Saudi Peninsula, those are the ones that really mess you up. They've also referred to them as the long glanded ones because the venom gland is typically at least the first third of the body. But there has been fatalities from a lot of sub-Saharan stuff. But from what I gather, and maybe Nathaniel can jump into, is a lot of them was like, oh, because they also call them side stabbing snakes. So they'll say, oh, I got bit by a side stabbing snake. Well, meanwhile, it wasn't. It was like a baby puff adder, and they didn't realize it. You know?
Right.
So
right. I mean, I know that like through the range of Atractaspis irregularis, I mean, they're so commonly mistaken for African house snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Especially that the corner, that right angle of Africa where you've got like Benin and Ghana and Togo and even down into like the Congo and like Liberia, they have like all those really nice jet black house snakes. And you go to pick that thing up and it just knifes you. Oof.
Yeah, didn't we show the video a while back of the one doing the spinning with the it got so worked up that it, like jumps and spun in its little bun, and then they're weird snakes, man.
They don't work physiologically like a normal snake. They're just bizarre.
Yeah, man.
But Phil recently got some, and so we
got one.
As much as we've talked about them as of late, I was like, we should just straight up do a stiletto episode, and because, like I said, I don't know of anybody else who really works with them in any like major capacity, and you know, I think Nathaniel might be the only one I know of that has any amount of them, and
I think you're right. I think Nathaniel, you've got probably the largest collection in captivity in North America. I can say that.
Yeah, something like 28 of them.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Yeah, they're terrible. Worst fucking snakes on the planet.
All right, so I got a laundry list of questions, right? But I won't necessarily bombard you with all of them. But I was going to say is, do you want to go into like the nitty gritty of the ones you have and milking and husbandry and that kind of thing? Or how do you want to quarterback this?
Oh, I guess whatever way you guys would like, you know.
Not that anyone's going to keep them aside from you two.
You know what? I was thinking about this with how many have been imported lately. How many people are going to get them and not realize they're fossorial, and you're never going to fucking really see it.
Yep.
And also getting it to feed. That's going to be, the other thing that people are
Yeah.
going to have
And I
trouble
feel
with.
like and I feel like with the one that I got now, and I uploaded some pictures so we can show some pictures and stuff too. I don't know if you can see us. I know we're doing audio only, but
Yep,
if
yep,
you,
I can see it.
okay, perfect. So so we'll throw the pictures up in a minute, but I got lucky because when I worked at Strictly many moons ago, we used to get bibroni from South Africa, and I would literally throw in a live fuzzy, and it would just stab it and eat it. And that was like almost all of them. And I was like, this is fantastic. This is cake. This is
It's
great.
wild.
And that's not the case with any of the other species.
No.
So yeah. So let's do this. So you've got multiple species, or you only have irregularis?
We're only working with irregularis right now.
Okay. And is that by choice because of pharmaceutical things, or is that because they were the easiest ones to acquire, or what?
It was basically because that's what there's demand for.
Okay.
And the first ones I ever got, the first stilettos I ever kept were irregularis. And it just so happened that that's what the pharmaceutical companies were interested in. So it just worked to continue to expand our collection with them. But if other ones come in, I'm going to buy them up.
Yeah.
Just because I love the family. The snakes fascinate me. I hate them with a passion, but they fascinate me.
I get it, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
get it.
in the grand scheme of venomous and keeping them, like, these things are like a Yugo with like a souped up engine under the hood, but you wouldn't notice because it's like all rusted out and gross and old. But
It's
damn
the
it,
ultimate
if
sleeper.
that thing doesn't hit, yeah.
It's like your
They are
your crazy ants. It's your crazy ants old beat up Astrostar minivan. but then the minute you put it into drive, you realize that it has a Z06 engine under the hood.
Yeah.
And God forbid you try and like change a water ball at night. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, what's been your experience with them, Phil, in terms of dealing with them and keeping them?
So like I said, we had bibroni from South Africa a very long time ago, and very unassuming, very placid. We didn't keep them long because I think the longest I ever had them when I was working at Strictly was probably maybe 1 or 2 months, and we just kept them on cypress mulch with a water bowl, and like they're in a rack, they're dark, like whatever. And I really didn't interact with them because at the time I didn't appreciate them the way I appreciate them now. And I had a room with hundreds of other snakes I got to take care of, so I didn't get to enjoy them in a hobbyist capacity like I do now. Now the one that I have now, during daylight, it's very much a like slow motion. You had mentioned Mexican Black King.
Or
It's
like
very
crates.
much, yeah, it's very similar in terms of the temperament with a crate, where during the day, it's kind of like a king snake that just doesn't want to be touched. Like, just leave me alone. I'm just going to keep burrowing myself. But at nighttime,
Different
I
animal.
will.
It's game on.
Yeah, it's game on. And I was going to be stupid and try and provoke it to get a threat display, but I realized that is a stupid idea. I know what it's capable of. I don't need to physically see it do it. I need to keep this animal calm and relaxed so that I can build up my husbandry, and then many moons later, if I want to try it, go for it. You know what I mean? Because we all want to see like the full potential, but at the same time, I'm not going to put myself in harm's way, and I'm not going to excessively stress the animal. So I have not yet seen it do any kind of pinwheeling or like flipping in the air. One time I was working in the room at like 9 o'clock at night, and I lifted up, I have a piece of cork flat in there. So I use hemostats to pick up the cork flat, and it got spooked, and it like did a full 360 real quick, but it didn't levitate like we've seen them do. You know what I mean? But Shy, other than that, I leave them alone, man, especially at night. It's not worth it.
No.
So, but Nathaniel, you've seen the threat displays copious amounts of times, right?
Oh yeah, my favorite is the pecking, where they
I want to see
actually
the pecking.
bury their snout to the ground and expose their venom glands and just do like in a circle.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really cool.
Now, see, are they doing that in their enclosure, or are they doing it like on the milking table?
They do it on the milking table.
Okay.
Never in their enclosure.
Okay. That's so cool, man. Just so people can kind of get an idea. I mean, if we have a time to show the video, we'll try and pull it up. I know the Esquibla Snakebite Foundation, they posted some videos of them doing pinwheels and levitating and stuff. But, and Nathaniel, correct me if I'm mistaken, but basically they will arch the first third of their body, very similar to a colubrid showing the side of its neck, kind of like an Asian rat snake. So they're gonna bow that first third. They touch their nose to the ground and then proceed to rapidly tap to make like a drumming sound.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And have yours ever done the pinwheel in the air thing?
They've never really levitated.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't really give them the chance to.
Yeah.
You know, we bring over to basically kind of go over it. We bring the tub over to the extraction table and then hook them out. And usually they start doing the pecking. And then I just grab them with the glove right away. I'm just like, I'm not going to deal with your bullshit.
Okay. So you're hooking them out of the enclosure, putting them on the table, and then you have your hex armor and you're just physically restraining them with your hex armor gloved hand.
Correct. And what I do is, so I hold them with the hex armor in my left hand, and then I hold the extraction vessel with the right hand and rub their face. And
with the end of the extractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the end of the vessel, and then they'll start sidestabbing it. And we usually get about 2 to 3 drops of fang. You know, we have to do a fang at a time, obviously, because of how they bite, but or envenomate, I should say. But you know, we do that.
Let me ask this real quick while we're on that topic. Now, I've heard multiple conflicting stories of how certain species have a favorited side.
That's true.
Okay. That's and then at the same time, I've also heard a rumor that they're incapable or seldom, if not ever, use both fangs at the same time.
Correct. The only time I've ever seen one do that is if you put a pile of live pinks in, you know.
Okay. Smorgasbord.
Yep. They'll go in and they'll sidestab everything. Left, right, left, right, left, right.
Really?
And they kill everything, and then they eat like a third of it.
Wow.
So
now, but let me ask you this: are they switchblading the left, then closing it, then switchblading the right, or are they opening both fangs at the same time and just sweeping back and forth?
I think it's one at a time, but I think it's one at a time, but it's tough to see.
Okay.
You know, especially with some of the smaller specimens, you know, they're going so fast, left, right, because they just kill everything. They're vicious, man. Vicious little animals. It's crazy.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So do you know the locality of your particular group?
Yeah, it's I gotta try to think. I figured you'd ask me this, and
I mean, country of origin is cool, but you know, I don't expect you to know exactly which river, valley, or whatever. You know,
a lot of it's Ghana, I believe.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I've got it all documented. I'm just terrible at remembering that shit.
No, I get it, dude. You
absolutely
got
terrible.
Hundreds and hundreds of animals. I expect you to remember all of it. You know. But yeah, I've seen that there's been a lot of areas, especially in West Africa, where obviously the locals have their own opinion of it, but even the collectors are apprehensive to catch the snakes, whether it be for science or for export or whatever, because of the intense amount of folklore associated with the animal, or not even folklore.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They flat out don't want to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't blame them, because there's a lack of knowledge, you know what I mean? But at the same time, when you've had 6 family members and they all got stabbed, like, why would you want to catch it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. The thing I've noticed though is a lot of I get a lot of videos from exporters and shit like that, and a lot of them use a long pair of tweezers, to handle them, and they're gentle with them, but they'll use the tweezers and hold them, right behind the head or the first third, to manipulate them and get them in the bags and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've never personally tried it because I trust my dexterity more than I trust a pair of tweezers, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I want to be as gentle with that animal as possible, but
Yeah.
the interesting thing too is they're robust animals. You look at a lot of other fossorial snakes, you look at crates, you look at Mycurus, they're pretty fragile. They really are.
Yeah.
But Atractaspis, I mean, they're bulldozers, man. They can take a hit and deliver one.
Yeah, I find, at least with the one, because obviously I'm way more observant with the one that I have now than with any of the ones I've worked with in the past. And it's pretty interesting because when I move the decor in the enclosure to visually see the animal, it's kind of, I don't want to say deflated, but it's very relaxed because it doesn't have a reason to be alert. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the minute I use a neonate hook, just because I want to be slow and smooth and as least amount of touch on the animal itself. So like I use a Venom Life neonate hook, and the minute the hook touches it, it instantly tightens up and almost inflates. And it has that almost like an aspidolaps, like that very tight, muscular fossorial snake. And it's so interesting how they just instantly, just real quick, they just tighten up and they go, okay, what am I doing? What's my next move? And then once they realize that I'm scooping it up and placing it in another container, then it kind of just goes back to being mellow.
So, I tried, we exclusively use Get Hooked equipment at MToxins. And that's because they custom make equipment for us, that's specific to Venom Labs, and they're good dudes. But I tried Stogies poly hooks, the small ones.
You can't
with Atractaspis.
Can't do it,
thinking that the temperature might be initiating that type of behavior. It made no goddamn difference whatsoever. They still tensed up. They still had their normal attitude. So it's just something bothers them, man. Something touches them. They freak.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense because if you think about it being fossorial, I mean, their vision is probably not great. I'm assuming if they're anything like Mycurus, like they can't really dilate their pupils like other snakes can that are more out in the open. So I'm sure they're much more sensitive to that kind of thing. I would think. I don't know.
Yeah, and their eyes are tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, tiny compared to their head ratio, But yeah, I think one of the coolest things about that family is how understudied they are.
Oh yeah.
And I like to see what I'm really enjoying and I hope to enjoy in the future are more private keepers keeping them, because what we do in a lab is not normal. You know what I mean? The private keeper is more focused on breeding behavior and more focused on, husbandry from a more naturalistic standpoint. And I hope we learn a lot more about them, because they're just so understudied.
It's such a bizarre group too. In the context of other African species, where you have things that occupy the ground, the trees, everything else that are still very different from stilettos, but stilettos are like literally one of a kind. Like it's just such a bizarre group. Like I don't even know if they're egg layers or if they're live bears. I'm assuming they're egg layers.
They're egg layers, yeah.
Yep.
But
yeah,
like the behaviors alone, there's just you don't see that with
it was funny. We were shooting we were shooting video for the African Snakebite Institute over here, and Ray Morgan, that made the venom interviews, was here, and he got a ton of video of my stiletto colony. This was a long time ago. I mean, this was when the lab was in an outbuilding. And we just designed it to look like Africa. We built this huge stage, and we're, him and Jeffrey Fobb and I from Venom 1 are moving mambas into it and boom slings, and we're making it look like sub-Saharan Africa and whatever, all this kind of shit. And Ray just goes, "That is the most bizarre goddamn snake I've ever seen in my life, and I hate it." Because they don't sit still either for pictures.
I wanted to know that as far as working them once they're out and stuff. Are they surely they don't sit still?
We had a guy, so there's a well-known herp photographer, I won't use his name, that is going to be at Tinley next weekend, and he's sent me a couple messages begging to come and photograph our stilettos, and I'm like, you could be the best photographer in the world, you're going to have a shit time trying to get a decent photo of one. You can get the in situ photos, but if you want to see a threat display or you want to see it act like a stiletto snake, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I can confidently say that with mine, I have not a lot of substrate, but enough for the animal to completely bury itself. And every chance it has, it will. And this is part of one of the reasons why I'm so enthusiastic about the genus, is that despite them having perceived horrible vision and very acute, very, very acute vision because the eyes are so tiny, it knows exactly where it wants to go. And every single little nook and cranny, like the crevices of an English muffin, it knows exactly which spot it's going to start digging in. And if I don't scoop it relatively quickly to remove it from the enclosure, it automatically goes right into the next little divot. And it's fascinating.
Like most fossorial snakes, they're super shy.
Yeah.
Super shy. But we keep ours on a moistened paper towel with some sphagnum moss. We have to keep their faces clean for extraction and things like that. We just can't, we get nice sheds from them, so that's how we kind of gauge our husbandry, is just based on their sheds.
Sure.
And
as long as they're eating and pooping, right?
As long as they're eating and pooping, that's all we care about.
Yeah.
And producing good venom, and but yeah, it's so I don't get to see them. I get to see them packing, like I said, and kind of try to burrow, but I think because there's not a substrate layer there, they stand their ground more.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they just feel so exposed. But like I said, I don't give them much time to really get super stressed out. I try to just hook them out, grab them, be done with it, and get it over with. It's like a micrurus extractions. We want to keep it as quick and unobtrusive as is humanly possible because those snakes are so goddamn fragile. So same thing with Atractaspis.
So then let me ask this. So I've had the animal for, it's probably, how long has it been, Smitty? At least 3 months, right?
I don't know if it's been that long. I would think more like 2.
Okay. So I gave him,
like
I put him in when I first got the animal, it sat in a sterilite container with about a 1/4 inch of water for probably about maybe 2 hours, because I just want to make sure it's hydrated. And then I put it in the enclosure and I left it alone for a solid 10 days. And then I went in there, I checked it, and I was like, oh, it's fully blue, it's going to shed. All right, great. I left it alone. It shed a perfect shed. Unfortunately, I wanted to save the shed so I could do a scale count, but it had mangled its shed into a little ball and it was all ruined. And so I left him be for the rest of that week. And then I threw in a live fuzzy just to kind of see what would happen. And that was no go. And then I wound up doing a live pinky, thinking maybe it was a size factor. Again, no go. And then my third feeding attempt was I took a Cordylis shed skin and stuffed it in the mouth of a frozen thawed pinky. And I I didn't attempt to tease feed or anything. I literally just left it right by his head, hoping maybe he would smell that lizard skin and go for it. Nothing. So this morning I threw in a yellow chick wing, just the wing, and I left that in there. So I'll check tomorrow. But what would be your advice on getting the ball rolling with this animal eating?
One of the things, it's interesting because like KRZ has had really good luck moving them into a separate enclosure
Okay.
with nothing in it and just putting live pinkies in there.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you tried smaller options, Phil?
Well, yeah, and I tried
Like
the pinky that
smaller
I
than
used.
normal?
Yeah, well, the pinky that I used was actually a day-old blood pink. It was alive,
Okay.
but I put it in its enclosure where it could burrow and dig and get away from that invasive animal, right? Or that nuisance that's in its cage. So I have not tried putting it in something else. So maybe that is the key.
It's a thought. I mean,
Okay.
it's something to try. I'll be very upfront. We tube feed the Bill Haas formula to all of ours.
Okay.
It's cheating.
And it is cheating.
Yeah.
It's cheating. But we get great health out of our specimens.
Okay.
But I've had them take, like I said, before we went live, put a pile of pinks in there.
Okay.
Of live pinks, and let it go crazy and see what it does too.
Okay.
That's cheap enough to try, and
sure.
But it's something.
Do you think I should do it in the enclosure, or do you think I should take it out in like a blacked out container for a couple hours?
I would try both.
Okay. We'll try both.
Just to get it feeding. They don't. The one nice thing is they don't have a super fast metabolism that I've ever noticed. So, I think you have time and you have options.
Yeah, and we were talking about before the show is that it hasn't eaten. It's been all these weeks, and it doesn't look like it's lost a speck of weight. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be as concerned.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first thoughts, and I mean, granted, I'm just a guy that got chondros, corns, and other random bullshit. I remember, I think there was an episode of Crocodile Hunter at one point where he saw one, and it was probably staged, but it was under like a mat of hay. And I'm assuming, I mean, we know that they're like nest raiders, like burrow raiders, where they go and find a nest of something and they eat whatever's inside that they want till they're done. So I'm wondering if it's a similar situation like that, where you have like a mat of something with pinkies under it, and then the snake in there in the separate container. Okay. Trying that, like those cocoa, like the basket liners that they have that are made of coconut husk.
Sure.
Getting one of those, and putting some pinkies under that or something.
Well, and that's what I tried with the live prey. Is I have that piece of cork flat, and dude, that snake lives under that cork flat. So I would literally lift the cork flat up, put the live prey at him, put the cork flat back, and then leave it. And then a couple days later, there's a dead rodent. Because
then I also wonder too, scent wise, because you think about if mom's in and out of that nest, there's probably going to be the scent of urine of an adult mouse or rodent. Right. And other signs that it is a nest that is like a frequented spot. So I wonder if that scent has any part in it. And then or maybe just the pinkies aren't enough. Like there has to be more signs that it is actually a nest and it is a viable option for finding food.
Sure. I could see that. I also, trying to do my homework and figure out exactly what species this is. And we were talking about this previously about I want to say that it's Dahomiensis, but Nathaniel's informing me that the odds of it being that are probably very, very slim. One of the things I was reading is the food is almost, what's the word I'm looking for? The animals eat endemic area species. So like, for example, there are certain populations of, man, now I'm drawing blanks.
Locality specific food,
right? So like, let's say there's a cornuta in this one particular section of Ghana, and they only eat a skink from that area. But the same species 200 miles away eats the skink that lives in that area. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So who the hell knows? You know what I mean?
Or I
Just-
mean,
but-
maybe if you can get your hands on something like small as possible, rat pups. I don't know if we could take one or not.
No, it's way too small to eat that.
Way too small. Yeah. I don't know.
Realistically, if it was a colubrid, like a king snake, I would be more than comfortable feeding it a large fuzzy mouse. That would be a good meal for it.
Okay.
So
I don't know. For some reason, lizards just don't seem like that. Seems kind of like a dead end to me with those.
what do you mean?
Yeah,
It,
I
like-
would agree. Have you thought about? I know in Florida it's fucked up with getting them, but trying ASFs.
You know, I haven't, but I know where I can get them. So
Yeah,
maybe
I mean, there's
that.
places to get them there.
Shot.
So
Yeah.
you know, I would try that as well. And you know, if I was in your position, that's what I would try.
Yeah, I've also
And
heard
it could also just be a factor of that it just needs way more time to settle and stuff. Like they're that sensitive to being in new environments and stuff that it just takes them a very long time to get acquainted with everything and comfortable.
Yeah. And I've caught him or her. I don't even know yet. I didn't want to probe it because I just
You haven't probed it?
No. And it's on my to-do list.
But they're so easy to handle.
I know, right? Well, I figure this is that in my mind, I would probably have Henry come over because I'm not going to do it fucking by myself. That's for sure. I would have Henry come over and I would tube the animal in a really long tube and then just hold it inverted and probe that way if I could. But again, this is all hypothetical. I have to talk to professionals like Nathaniel first before I start doing anything crazy. But I was actually going to ask is I've seen with Bibroni in collections in Africa where they do, I guess it's called tunnel feeding, where basically they have a tube that's opaque or like PVC or whatever. They put the snake in one end of the tube, they cap it, and then they shove a live fuzzy in the other side and cap that. And now the animal feels like it's underground and it's found this prey item. And that's when it really deploys that fossorial stabbing motion and it will eat in the tube.
So I've heard that as well.
Okay.
And that used to be a technique that the old school herp guys would use to get king cobras to eat rodents.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically give them no out unless they took the food. But that would be something fascinating to try. And I really ask you, like, document your shit because I would love to learn from your experiences as well. You know,
yeah. And I
like I said, I've got it easy. I just shove a catheter down their throat.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's photos online. I got to dig them up, but there's photos from somebody documenting it to a certain extent. And you could clearly see it's Bibroni and it's definitely lower Africa. It's got the cream belly with the really pointed face. Yeah. And it's a clear tube. And like it's like 3 or 4 different pictures. And like first it's the snake in the tube, then it's the snake stabbing the prey, then it's the snake like mangling it because it can't get the prey off of the fang, and then the next one is like halfway down the snake's mouth.
Yep.
So
I wonder if it's just as easy as taking a tube like PVC with a cap on the end of it, putting a fuzzy in that, and then just laying that in the cage with the open end.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm wondering too if putting something bedding, like used bedding from whoever you get your rodents from, in there with it, like I said, to get that sort of nesting smell in there, seeing if that would have any sort of effect on it too, if that would sort of entice it to investigate that tunnel more.
Sure. Absolutely.
I don't know. That's it's fun to think about.
Yeah, 100%. So let's go to this. We'd mentioned eggs prior. Have you seen copulation or produced any?
I have not.
Okay.
The plan is to try.
Okay.
More just for fun, you know. We want to just document and see what we can do. The thing that hinders us are our quotas, you know. And so, you know, the next time more come in, we'll get them and quarantine them and go through the motions, and then we're gonna try to do that. It's one of our goals. for 2023 is to try to produce them. But
awesome.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's super cool, man. Super cool.
Want to talk about bites?
I want to, because I'm curious about the venom. Do we know, is there a lot of variation in that between the different species? Is it all fairly similar?
Seraphotoxins.
Anybody know?
Yep. Seraphotoxins, metalloproteinases. It's just digestive. It's just pre-digestive enzymes like crazy. And that's what took Mike's thumb, was all the digestive proteins in there. And I don't know how I got away without losing a finger. I still don't know. Leslie Boyer, when I had my bite, Dr. Leslie Boyer was in Africa and was in sub-Saharan Africa and was talking to Jean-Philippe Chapeau, another very well-known French snakebite doctor. And they said to massage the area heavily to disperse the venom out of the tissues. And so one thing that they had to do for the 2 days I was in ICU was massage my finger nonstop.
I imagine that was agonizing.
It was the most painful experience of my life, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And so anyway, excuse me. Massaging it, dispersing it through the tissue, I didn't lose anything. And I feel very fortunate because it was a serious envenomation. So yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine because of what it is, they can't give you like any kind of
what do you even
cortisone.
do?
Well, I was thinking like you can't like use Novocaine or cortisone or something like numb it, because you need to give them a response as to what's it feeling like or
If
what it's
it would
doing.
even do anything at all.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And to put it in perspective, so are you guys familiar with what Dilaudid is?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what they had to do for my bite was go into my carotid artery, run a line directly into my heart, and they were pumping Dilaudid into my heart directly because the pain was so excruciating.
Wow.
There's a picture. I should send it to you guys. There's a picture of me in the hospital with the line in my neck, getting Dilaudid with a big thumbs up with my swollen fucking hand.
Well, any pictures you want to share on the show, if you just send it to the Facebook, send it to me in Facebook Messenger, and we can throw it up right now. If you want.
Hold on, because I was just talking to Justin. I'll send it over to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that was a rough one.
I mean, that was Jake's experience with his Atrox bite. He's like, dude, they couldn't give me enough morphine. Like, it would not. Like, morphine didn't do jack shit for the pain. It just, completely unrelated in terms of like, the snake and the bite and stuff. But he's like, morphine was just laughable. It didn't do anything.
Well, the thing that happened, and it happens so often in snake bite. Justin, you should have that photo, by the way. The thing that happened was, my blood coagulopathy went to shit. It was water. It was water.
Wow.
Like the equivalency of a Bothrops bite. And
no kidding.
That was the thing that was so scary was, they flat out said, if you get in a car accident and hit your head on the way home, you're going to hemorrhage out.
Wow.
So it was just nuts. Absolutely nuts.
There you go.
But yeah, you can see my hand all swollen up, and
look at that lovely artwork.
Looks like a kid drawing a great white shark.
Yeah, that was my helper at the time, my intern, marking my hand for the swelling. It should have been a tattoo, is what it should have been.
Yeah, right.
But I ended up getting that snake's profile tattooed on my arm. So,
excellent. Excellent. We gotta see that tattoo one day. Let me ask you this.
It's on his ass.
It's on, yeah.
Now, not to be insulting, but you are a bigger guy like me. Do you think that had a benefit opposed to someone like Mike's size?
I think so.
Okay.
I really think so. And I don't even want to say this, but I have a belief that breathing in as much venom and as much everything that I have throughout the past 12
Yep.
years, I've probably got some antibodies going for me.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't prove it. And I said that once to Dr. Boyer and she just laughed in my face. And so, you know, she's an actual, you know, genius and I'm a stupid venom extractor. But I do think I think it made a difference.
Oh yeah.
Didn't affect the pain, but could possibly explain how I didn't lose my fingertip or my whole finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mike's was a completely different story. Like you see pictures, his thumb, it's literally just bone on the end of it. Like it literally melted everything down to the bone. And then some.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, because we're on the topic of micro immunity. Have you ever developed an allergen from spitters or no?
Oh God, zebra spitter. If I got bit by a zebra spitter today, I would be dead instantly.
Really?
Yeah. It's bad. And one of the things that's my own fault, and I was warned about it by my mentor in the venom industry. You know, use a fume hood. You know, don't measure your venoms raw. You know, don't do it. You know, you're breathing that shit in. And, you know, I was young and dumb and full of cum and I knew everything.
Yep.
And I did it that way. And it makes me very ill. Even if I do, like we do a ton of Crotalus adamantius because it's in some of the South American mixtures of antivenom that we do. Because it has great efficacy for bites.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, you think about some of those neotropical rattlesnakes and all that kind of shit, like they're primarily neurotoxic, but everything else in them, you know, you can neutralize with something like an adamantius or, you know, stuff like that. So, anyways, like even if I'm weighing out adamantius venom, and I don't use the hood, I'm so sick, you know, it's like gagging and vomiting and watery eyes, and I really was an idiot, and I'm the first to admit it. So yeah, I have a lot of allergy.
Okay. Yeah, because I have not yet developed, and I say yet, knock on wood, an allergen, especially the spitter stuff. And I mean, I've been keeping spitters since 2006, 2005, something like that. No, like 2006. And I remember my late mentor always telling me, because he didn't keep big elapids, and he would tell me, he's like, hey, I saw the guys at the shop scraping the venom off the glass with a razor. He's like, don't ever do that. You know, don't ever scrape. Always dilute with water or cleaner or whatever and wipe it away. And I've stuck to that. And I just know so many people that aren't a venom guy like you. You know, you're dealing with raw powdered forms. Like, it's to be somewhat expected to a certain degree, but normal hobbyists just scraping and breathing in the dust. And I've tried to avoid that, you know.
Well, I'm allergic to dubia, so some of us have real problems.
You know, we use I don't know.
Uh-oh.
It off. And
say that one more time, brother. You cut out for a minute.
Oh, sorry. We use can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Yeah, we use vinegar and water to take it off.
Okay.
And that works well.
Like a 50-50 mix?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, does that
You're
just
not going to hurt
disintegrate
the
those
animal
proteins?
with the vinegar. What was that?
So does that just like disintegrate the proteins and stuff, or is it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's great. I would never thought of that.
But yeah, and they talk about, in captivity, red spitters being the worst for people. I I don't get that, because, you know, when I pull a red spitter out of the tub to do extractions, I won't wear a mask. But if I'm doing a zebra spitter, I have to wear a mask.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm, for some reason, that particular species of Naya just destroys me.
Yeah.
I think Fry, he's stupid allergic to a lot of spitters too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why we do all the spitters for him.
No. There you go.
Because he can't handle it. You know, he just can't. And it's because he was stupid like I was. You
Sure.
know, like I said, we knew better when we were kids. So, you know,
Yeah,
and now
I'll be
here we
fine.
are.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's wild.
What was the circumstances of your stiletto bite?
These stupid AirPods. Can you say that again? Sorry.
What was the circumstances of your stiletto bite?
So I basically pushed my hand onto the fang, being not intentionally reckless or anything, but I was rushed to get the extractions done, and I had put the snake on the table, and it was in a defensive mode, and I went in with one hand to grab it. The other hand I had still sitting there, and I basically just pushed my right hand right onto the fang. The snake wasn't even trying to sideswipe. It wasn't trying to do anything. The fang was out, but it wasn't trying to envenomate me at all. You know, anytime a venom extractor is bitten, it's because we're freaking stupid. We did something stupid. There was a chain of events that it's like Carl Barden when he got bit in the face by an Eastern Diamondback. You know, someone had spilled water on the floor. He's walking with the snake towards the table, the extraction table, slips on the water. The snake goes flying forward, lands on the table. He falls forward. It lunges and bites towards him. It strikes at him and bites him in the freaking gums. You know, I mean,
I'd never even heard of that. When did that happen?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and that's not to embarrass Carl. We love Carl, but it's
he's one of the best.
Carl's the man.
You know,
wow.
It's like my black mamba bite. You know, mambas. I say bite, but you know what happened was, you know, mambas scrunch their nose when they envenomate, and I'm left-handed. I grab the snake with my left hand, and it's biting the vessel, envenomating the vessel, and I use my right index finger to help hold the nose down, and it just helps with the release of the venom. And that particular day, I lifted my left hand before my right hand and lacerated my finger with its fang. I mean, that's not the snake's fault. That's me being an idiot and going too fast. And, you know, I got a good amount of venom and needed anti-venom for the first time in my life. So, you know, it's always our fault when we're bitten.
At the same time, though, it sounds like that polylepis bite went about as smoothly as
no, it did.
Could have gone. I mean,
yeah,
it did. It could have been really bad. So, yeah, but anyways, it's always, it's like Jim Harrison with one of his Bothrops bites. His tube had a fracture in it. He used it anyway. The snake cracked the tube the rest of the way, got him on the arm. I don't remember the exact specifics. I'm sure him and Kristen will correct me if they listen to this. But anyway, you know, and he was fucked for a long time.
Yeah.
From that envenomation.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, we extract 75 snakes a day, and you're gonna fuck up eventually. Mm-hmm. So
statistically, anyways. Yeah, you're gonna at some point, you know, you're gonna hit something.
And forgive me if I'm out of line asking, but which anti-venom did they give you for the mama bite?
I got Inasan Pan-African.
Excellent.
It
So
only took 4 vials, and
wow.
we did 2 vials initially, and I was good. My ptosis had turned around. I was in good shape, but Dr. Boyer recommended 2 additional vials because I had it.
Right.
And so I ended up getting 4 and
Wow.
getting through that bite. I was hospitalized at like 3 p.m. or something like that, and I ended up home and having dinner with my family by like 6:30 or 7.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And
But that's all about being prepared, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not going to get on some soapbox and talk about anti-venom and how every private keeper should have it, because I don't believe every private keeper should have it. I think private keepers should get together and have anti-venom banks and do it that way, the way Venom 1 started, is what I personally believe. You know, Jim and Kristen want everybody that owns a monocle cobra to have 10 vials in their freezer or in their fridge. That's not realistic. You know, get a co-op together, share the cost of the serum, even though it is cheap, share the cost of it, and help have each other's backs is what makes sense to me. But anyways, it was that preparedness. You know, I was to the hospital in 15 minutes from when ptosis started.
Yeah. How quickly were you symptomatic with that?
It took, well, because I'm an idiot asshole, I waited. Because Carl Barton said this once. He's like, you know, when you're bitten, you're in this level of shock and disbelief, you know, and did I get any venom? Did I not get any venom? I know how much venom that snake gives normally. Do I panic? Do I not even worry? And I went to my office and kind of relaxed for a little bit. And then I started to lose ability to control my speech and my tongue. And my eyelids started getting droopy. And, you know, and of course, you know, Dr. Boyer and Jeff Fobb and everyone were just like, you're a fucking idiot. The minute this happened, you should have been at the hospital getting the anti-venom. And they're right. But I'm a stubborn German man and I do whatever the fuck I want. So,
yeah.
So,
well, and not to mention, you also have like this false sense of, I just milked it. How much more could it really have? How much more? Like not realizing that, you know, a gram kills an elephant, you know?
Right.
So, oh geez. But I also think it's interesting how you got 4 vials of, you know, Inasan. And I wonder, like, think about how many vials of Sav P that would have took.
Oh, it would have taken way more.
Yeah, it would have been the 15, 20 vials.
Why is that?
It's just the way it works, man. Just that.
It's the way it works.
Yeah.
The Mexicans make the best anti-venom in the world. And that's, it's not just Inasan, it's Bioclone. They make the best anti-venoms, and it's because they revolutionized the industry. And it's why it's better.
Are they inoculating horses? Like, what are they using?
No, they're inoculating horses, but it's what they do with the molecule that makes it. It's everything they do that's proprietary that I'm not even allowed to know. After the fact. But you know, they're all FAB2 antivenoms, so they're safe from a lot of potential anaphylaxis from horse allergy and things like that. But there's just something in their purification process in what they're doing that makes a better serum. And I think personally it's because they put stuff in there that's not on the label. And, you know, we can't say what that is, but
classic Mexican pharmacies.
Exactly. They'll put extra species in there and genera that maybe aren't from the region.
Sure.
But do a much better job of neutralizing specifics, you know. And so you just get a better serum, a way better serum.
Now, let me just say this is I know, and again, if this is, I don't want to say it's a conflict of interest. I don't know your business with them and whatnot, but there was actually just a medical release from Kenya warning people in East Africa to not use Inasan products against Anelifera and certain Haji species, because apparently there was multiple individuals that got bit, like just farm workers and stuff, and it 20-30 vials of Inasan, and it didn't do anything.
So it's tough because,
I mean, there's so many factors. Like, was it given properly? Was it, was there any?
Well, and Kenya is in a very interesting political situation where they're trying to produce their own serum.
Very interesting.
So they have a venom lab that they've opened there. They're creating their own serum in conjunction with the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. And it's very political.
Okay.
And in Kenya, they were very loyal to Vin's product out of India. Sure. And so it's a bit bizarre. My question would be not if it's true or not, but is it politically motivated, or is it, did the Inasan product really work that poorly? If we do a lot of Anelifera, if I was envenomated by an Anelifera, I would be using Inasan product. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I believe it.
But that's just my take on it.
Sure. I mean, who knows, man? But the proof is in the pudding. Even with you, you know what I mean? That Inasan makes a hell of a product, and you don't got to refrigerate it.
Exactly. The other thing that's interesting is when I was over there, we saw Echis envenomations. It took only 3 vials to save people's lives from an Echis. So, like I said, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Very powerful stuff.
Speaking of Echis, have you in any of your pharmaceutical endeavors done any work with the zinc stuff with the Echis?
No.
Have you heard about this, where they're doing like in excess levels of zinc, and it curbs like localized side effects and like localized trauma?
I'll be honest, I've not even heard about it.
Yeah, so I guess there's a bunch of studies being done in both East Africa and West Africa where if it's the right Echis at the right time, and it's the right person, and they get to the hospital at the right time, they basically, as they're mixing the antivenom, they dose them with like super huge levels of zinc, and something about the zinc in the bloodstream slows down or prohibits certain properties of the Echis venom from connecting and doing its job, and that basically extends it. So let's say you had 20-30 minutes to get antivenom before you had permanent damage or semi-permanent damage. The zinc gives you like an extra 3-4 hours in theory.
That's fascinating. Like, yeah. I'd like to see that and talk to Fry about it.
Yeah, I'll find one of the, because there's like 3 or 4 papers that were coming out. I'll grab one of them. I'll send it to you. It's super interesting, but it's specifically to African species of Echis.
Okay. Yeah, I would be fascinated to read that.
Yeah, I'll find it. Actually, I'm pretty sure Henry is the one who sent it to me, so I'll see if he still has it. So, oh man. So speaking of pharmaceutical stuff, so with the irregularis venom that you're, gathering, is this for antivenom specifically, or is there also like is pharmaceutical stuff looking at like the seraphotoxins in use for modern medicine? Like what's one of the goals?
A lot of it is just evolutionary research.
Okay.
That's what a ton of it is. There's a ton of different groups that want to look at that venom and try to see what they can learn from it. Right now, I'm not aware of anything that I guess is for any type of, human use or benefit. It's just all, how did we get to this point from an evolutionary standpoint?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, and that was what was so funny. We did so when I got envenomated by the irregularis, it was in the middle of doing the paper for Brian Fry that showed that no antivenom at the time could neutralize it.
Wow.
So it was hilarious because I knew there was nothing anybody could do. It was just, okay, you're fucked. And that's about the end of it.
Please suffer silently in your hospital room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Please.
Embrace the knife fight.
Yeah.
So how
Oh,
long
man.
did it take for the pain to finally subside? And did you have any lasting effects afterwards?
About a day and a half. And this could be just me. There's no scientific, explanation or proof for it, but it gets very tender in the cold. That finger still gets and we're talking Wisconsin cold, so -20, -40. That finger freezes up and just feels like shit.
Grab my strong hand.
Yeah, it's
My germs.
I'll dip my hand in some mashed potatoes and
Man, that's crazy.
serve them up for you.
So now, do you feel like, in terms of like sensor, you're saying how cold it gets and residual pain? Do you think it's more sensitive neurologically now than it was pre-bite?
Oh God, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like
But
it turned
again-
on nerves. That's crazy.
Again, it's it could be all in my head, but I'm how many years removed from that envenomation, and still it's like, oh, my fucking middle finger is locking up and my fingertip goes numb. Well, the only thing that's happened to that finger ever in my life was an Atractaspis bite.
Yeah.
So
Wild.
I don't know.
It's so cool, man. I mean, it's fucked up and I'm sorry, but it's incredible, Oh, man. Well, can I show the picture of my little guy and you tell me what you think?
Phrasing.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
Yeah, please show me your little guy. I'd love to give an opinion.
It's rounded and stubby.
It's bigger around than it is long.
Oh, my Lanta.
Rate my irregularities.
Rate my tuna can.
All right, so these pictures are over the last couple of weeks. Don't mind
the weird growth.
Don't mind the lush vegetation.
There was a spot at one point, but it's gone now. Ignore that.
Right. All right, so that is bad lighting. It's not normally brown.
Fascinatingly bland.
You know what? Fuck you, bud. All right. That's not it. That's Casey.
Hey, that's Casey Cannon.
So this is probably like a week or two ago. You guys seen this okay?
Cool.
Yeah.
Earthquake, bro.
Look, man, I'm not gonna let you piss in my Cheerios, all right? These snakes are awesome.
Look at that. It might as well not even have eyes.
Oh God. So I have to. All right. So there's a paper from 2011 from Moyer and Jackson that goes over the physical attributes of the different species of Atractaspis. So I got to get that paper. I haven't got it yet. And basically through head scalation and the separation of infralabial scales, as well as like counting belly scales and dorsal scales like normal, you can kind of gauge what species you've got. So I've been trying to get close-up cell phone pictures of his head.
I like the tail tip.
And I mean, this picture here is actually probably what he looks like most often. And the tail is very, very pointed, but still yet very, very blunt. And I've looked at like,
it's a girl.
Well, so that was my question: is there any kind of sexual dimorphism in your experience?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that looks like a girl to me.
All right. So let's look at this. Let me try and zoom in best I can. So the vent is literally like right there.
That's a girl, brah.
Okay. Now, are we talking the tail length at like Bitis?
Yes.
Okay. So a tail that's twice that length from the vent would be a male.
Yeah, when you send me some of that info we talked about, I'll take some
Yeah.
pictures too. I
Okay,
just did our colony yesterday. Wait, what day is it? No, I did our colony yesterday. But I'll go in there and I'll send some pictures of the differences. But I would say that's a female.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And now looking at these photos, do you still think it's a regularis?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't say, look, I'm not, just going by experience is why I say that. I could be completely wrong, but to me that looks like an irregularis.
Zoom in. Yeah, there you go.
You can see the eye right there.
Yep.
And that's the other thing too, is I've been trying to see, and it's so hard because like you were saying earlier about photos, that subocular scale right there, there's like 4 or 5 different main scalations that I've noticed from reading that if it has a split scale, it could be one of these 3 snakes. If it has an extra large scale that bleeds down into the next level of eye scales, it could be one of these 4 snakes. So like you can kind of narrow it down.
Isn't that true for like Atheris broad? What the fuck are they?
Broadly eye.
Yeah, the broadly eye have that scalation type of difference from Squamigera.
Broadly eye also seem to have larger eyes that are a little more forward on the face, if I'm not mistaken, from what Nipper's showed me pictures of his.
That just looks irregularis to me. But again, I mean, you know, you get a good shed, you do a scale count, you'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Unless you want to handle it.
Yeah, no, definitely going to use the shed. I really want to get that Moyer and Jackson paper because it's funny. Before the show, we were talking about the biblical text, as I like to call it, which is Weinstein and Worrell's book, Burrowing Asps and Their Kin. And in the book, it literally says, if you want to learn more about how to visually identify them, get Moyer and Jackson's paper from 2011, which was kind of a letdown, but I get it, man. You can't put everything in it, So let me see if I got another good closer picture of the face.
So unassuming and so just
you can see the eye there and then the one scale behind it.
These things look stupid as hell, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, man. They look
derpy.
Oh, they're super derpy. They're adorable. But the iridescence in these photos does not do it justice. I mean, it gives a rainbow boa a run for its money. Yeah, see, zooming in, man, it's so hard. And every single headshot is blurry because it's moving. They never stop moving. Oh.
Probably confused by the flash. Probably. What's going on?
All right. So now let me ask you this. You say irregularis. Does this look like all of your irregularis, or is there different variations of it?
I mean, I've seen irregularis be kind of a dusty brown, but typically that black pigmentation, the black to blue is typically irregularis. And we have to be pretty goddamn specific on our species to sell their venom.
Right.
So, but again, I am not the Atractaspis expert, I just happen to have a lot of them.
Well, I'm actually gonna the individual we were talking about prior to the show sent me a video of some that I'm actually going to look at on Wednesday. So let me pull up that video and you can tell me what you think, because these look much, much more brown.
I know the video. The brown one's on the left, and then to the right is another darker one.
Okay. Yeah. So you got
I mean, pull it up so they can see it.
On.
Yeah, for sure.
It may take a couple seconds because it's a video, so just bear with me.
No.
Yeah, fuck this.
Yo, how funny would that be? Nathaniel's like, fuck this, and just signs off. Your video took too long.
Not waiting like this.
Yeah, right. All right. Yeah, it's only 9 seconds, but here, let's throw this up there.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
All right. So there's the one on the left.
Yeah, which is brown in coloration.
Yeah. And see, this one's still brown in coloration, but it's got a slightly different. Yeah, it's the same. Who am I kidding?
Different shade of brown.
Mhm.
It's a milk chocolate versus a dark chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. But then you also come to think, like, is that jungle skin that is going to shed off, and it's actually going to have that rich slate blue underneath, or is it actually brown? So I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, you know, eventually you'll be able to figure it out. But all of that aside, you know, you should be fucking proud that you're keeping these, that you've gotten 2 good sheds out of it. Its body weight is maintaining. I mean, regardless of what species it is, you know, you're doing it right by that snake. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Like, coming from you, it means a lot, man. I really appreciate that.
What's your favorite species of Bitis and why is it Cornuta?
Whoa, dude. Zirapaga for the win, bro. Zirapaga for the win. And anyone who keeps Schneidereye is just a Cerastes vipera elitist. There, I said
Atropos are pretty cool.
Yeah, Atropos are awesome. Zirapaga, man. The desert. Oh, I love it.
But this is a trash genus. Trash.
Oh God, if only you weren't you, I would be shaming you right now.
No, Bitis are great. I just
you're sick of
they're tough. I don't want to. I shouldn't make it sound like I hate all these animals. I absolutely adore them. It's why I work with them. But you know, some of the Bitis are really tough to keep going on a venom line.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
stress,
so
right?
Oh, it's all stress.
Yeah.
Nasocornis. Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
I bet.
You know, and so we're constantly changing what we do at the lab to accommodate those guys, and make them more comfortable, lower the stress levels, everything. And so, yeah, I mean, I could bitch about every genus, but those guys are, except monocle cobras, because the only thing that can kill them is a nuclear holocaust.
yeah, that's good.
Haven't they literally had like froze one and thawed it out and it came back to life?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure I heard Kristen at one point talking about, either I read it or there was a video about it, like literally a monocle had been frozen and then it had been thawed out and it was still alive. Like it came back to life. It's just ridiculous.
It wouldn't surprise me. They're hateful little bastards.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite?
To extract from or to just keep?
Both.
To keep Nasocornis, for sure. Because, you know, the truth about having a venom lab, I'll go on a little fucking diatribe for a minute.
Do it.
You know, we don't want to see those animals die. Right. You know, it's a living thing, and I won't get too into it, but it's like, you know, we want to provide the best quality of life possible because that affects the quality of the venom, and so, and plus it's a living thing. So, you know, with those guys, it's the most frustrating, but the shittiest snake to extract from are Eastern Diamondbacks, hands down.
Just because they crash around and shit?
No, there's no snake that, you know, I'm not saying from an intelligence standpoint. I'm saying from a brute strength, come at me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's big Eastern Diamondbacks. You know, I'll take the neotropical rattlesnakes and all that kind of shit any day of the week. It's the big Easterns that are 6+ feet that are on our venom line that, you know, they just muscle up and it's like, fucking come at me, you know? And we use a press pad, you know, a special tool. Actually, Carl and I are the only ones that use one. That Get Hooked makes us. It's just a pillow on a stick, basically, but that lets us be able to restrain them decently. But it's a big snake with a huge venom yield, and I don't care that they're not that toxic. They can pump enough in you. I mean, look at what happened to Joe Wasilewski with his adamantius envenomation that happened. It was a long time ago, but I mean, the fucker was hospitalized, if I remember correctly, for almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
From that adamantius bite, and it was something like 70 or 80 vials of antivenom.
Yeah, it's wild. Wild. I don't think I've ever heard of someone, whether it be a herper or just an innocent bystander, getting hit from an adamantius and not having major long-term effects.
For sure. Yeah, it's just I don't get scared. Like, you can't be scared as a venom extractor. You just have to be confident, and show that animal respect. But goddamn, those things, when it's adamantius week, I'm just like, God damn it, here we go again. You know, I'll take a pissed off black mamba any day of the week over a temperamental Eastern, for sure.
I can imagine.
And is so that like it seems like rhinos aren't as popular as they used to be in terms of people.
They're not. Yeah, people aren't keeping them, and I think the reason is because, you know, I hate saying their husbandry is hard, because it's not hard. It's just it's specific, and you know, I think a lot of people go in, they buy these frickin' imports, and you know, they pay a decent price for them, and then the fucking thing dies 3 months later, and they're either going to buy another one or they're going to just stop keeping them.
Yeah.
You know, but that's a big reason, you know, because people don't do their goddamn research.
Sure.
And look into anything that they're keeping. I saw it at a fucking reptile expo. It looked cool, so I brought it home.
Yeah.
You know, I know plenty of people like that.
I think it also comes down to people have kept West African gaboons. They've kept an assortment of puffs from whatever locality, right? And I feel like those two species are way more forgiving in husbandry than almost any of the other bittis, right? I'm not going to say they're bulletproof, but they're way more forgiving. And I feel like the people that have problems with rhinos is either they're overthinking it and it gets water blisters, or it gets a respiratory infection because they're trying to they carry it to death, or they neglect it thinking, oh, it's a bittis, it'll be fine, I'll just give it water next week. And that's the problem, is that it's not a gaboon, it's not a puff, it has its own niche set of requirements, albeit not difficult ones, but its own set, just in my opinion.
There's less margin for error.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
So am I wrong? And like, it seemed to me like early mid 2000s they were way more popular, and it seems like over the years there's just not nearly as many people keeping them as there used to be.
I don't think that many are getting imported like they used to either.
Yeah. I don't think the farms are the exporters, whether they be it farmed or not, are bringing in the number of babies. Because, like, I mean, we used to get it underground. Like, they'd say, okay, we're getting a shipment of rhino vipers, and like you'd expect it to be like maybe 10 adults, and it's not. It's like 60 to 100 babies, and like that's just not happening anymore. So
right. I mean, we try to gauge it. You know, we're happy that ours are feeding and everything like that, but like, you know, certain snakes we have to put on a 21 to 30 day extraction schedule. We moved our rhinos to a 30-day, and we're having good success now. But yeah, it just has to be a hands-off species for a venom lab anyway. We soak them, we feed them, and we pretty much just leave them alone.
Yeah, makes sense.
Are you doing anything with any protobothrops or any of the like Asian sort of arborealish stuff?
Nothing right now. We did a ton for papers for Fry. So we were doing Mucosquamatra, we were doing elegans, we were doing a ton of them. And actually, it was really sad. When we moved locations, we lost a ton of our protobothrops. But we had already filled what we needed to do. But yeah, we lost those snakes.
Do you think
which
it had
was
anything to do with
really sad?
Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that they're more of a montane species and you're keeping a lot of lowland African stuff? Was that a contributing factor, you think?
This was all during the move, which was the dead of winter. And, we were moving 500 snakes. Well, at that time, it was probably more like 350 or 400 snakes in negative 20-degree weather in the best way we possibly could. It's tough to say what was a factor, but at that time too, we lost a lot of mycuris too in that move, which is always hard because they're not the easiest snakes to get, and so yeah, it sucks. No one that owns a venom lab likes to talk about the loss that happens, but it does. It's part of doing it, and you have to accept it to a certain extent. I mean, like the stuff that we keep that are our ambassadors and we use for education, and we do that. I mean, these are animals we've had for decades. Some venom line animals, I mean, we're lucky if we get 3 years out of them, on certain ones.
Yeah.
Especially Echis. Echis they do horrible on a venom line. But
that's kind of surprising considering how prolific they are naturally. You'd think they'd be pretty bulletproof for that kind of stuff.
Well, I think they're bulletproof, and forgive me if I'm speaking out of line. I feel like they're bulletproof in nature in terms of their husbandry, their living, their stress level. But when you increase that stress so much because of all the human interaction, I imagine that it's just an upward battle.
It really is. And you can take, our Echis that are feeding regularly and everything like that. You handle them too much in a extraction environment, they're just done. They just fold. And really the only person that produces a lot of captive Echis are Al Koritz and frickin' Michael Vesio.
Yep.
Those are the people that produce the most captive Echis. And even some of the captive specimens we've gotten, they've been the longest lived. We got some Carinatus cerutii from
really?
Al Koritz that have been on the venom line for like 6 or 7 years now.
Wow. Do you know what locality?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's incredible. I had one that was given to me as a gift, and this was probably 15 years ago. It was a baby, and it got to the United States under not good circumstances, if you catch my drift. And I only had it for a short time, and I wound up feeding it crickets, and it lived for a few months on crickets, and then it expired. But I always attributed it to the fact of how small it was, and the means in which it got to the United States was not conducive to its living, if you catch my drift. So the fact that we have someone producing them and that you're actually working with it, that's fantastic.
Henry said they're Pakistani.
What? Okay. Oh, you said owls are Pakistani. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
Yeah, that's the locality that mine was.
But yeah, the specimens from Al have been outstanding. we've gotten a fair amount of specimens from Vesio that do great. But when you need the volume, of specimens, I mean, we try to keep 20 to 40 of every species of Echis we can get our hands on at a time. So they're mostly wild caught, and we do what we can. But it can be a rough go with those guys.
What's when you have to quarantine stuff like that that's brought in, like how long is it from the time you receive it to the time that you're actually it's on the line and in that regular rotation?
We try to do 60 days, which is what the WHO requires.
Okay.
And one of the things about venom extraction that people don't think about is like with each individual, even after 60 days, you're still not safe. And we have multiple animals biting the same membrane, and people don't think about that. And it's like, you can't change membranes for every single snake you extract from. You just can't. But that's not the most sanitary thing you can do either, and that can lead to problems. So it's just one of those industries where, it's something you have to kind of accept, even though it's not easy. Especially our kings. We get very, very attached to our king cobras. And, losing one of those is like losing a member of the family to us, just because of their personalities and stuff like that.
It's a different animal.
It's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
I actually have a funny king cobra story if you want to hear it.
Always.
So what we do, or what I do at the lab, is progressively work people up, because the first venomous snake I ever handled was a 9.5-foot black mamba. That was my first venomous snake I ever handled. It was the wrong way to go about things. I don't need to give a disclaimer. It was just wrong. But that was how I started, because that and P&G taipans were the two main types of snakes that my mentor was keeping at the time. So for me, it was like, I didn't even handle a crotalid until way after I was handling taipans and mambas. But what I do at the lab is I start out with a gentle progression, right? So we start out with cottonmouths, and we work to copperheads, and we work to Crotalus viridis and Atrox and Adamantius, and we work our way up. Well, some of my staff are at the point where they're learning kings, and we have a big space at the lab when we're closed that we can use to teach king cobras. And if a 12 or 14-foot male wants to charge, you have plenty of room. And it's one of those things about being a mentor where I was training. This actually happened on Sunday night, yesterday night, where we were hooking, and I was teaching how to stop a charge and all this kind of stuff. And the gentleman was tailing it, and it decided to come around and come at him. And he shot it, because I'm right there, to try to help mitigate anything, because I have a policy at our lab, and some might think it's wrong, but I'll take a bite before I ever let one of my staff take a bite. Sure. And end of story. I think as a mentor, if you're going to teach people to be hands-on with these animals, you have to accept that you're going to have to step in at some point in a shady situation.
Of course.
And this particular handler is excellent, very experienced, but whipped the king cobra through my fucking legs.
Oh man.
9.5-foot specimen. And it just went sailing between my legs. And he's almost in tears, and I'm sitting there going, this is part of what it takes to be a mentor, because people are going to fuck up, and you have to be ready for it. Now, sure. Luckily, the snake it's a very placid animal. It wasn't in any way trying to hurt anybody or anything like that. But yeah, that was a nice bit of excitement on a Sunday night to have.
And it's a learning experience for both you and the trainee.
Yeah, pretty much. Which the learning experience for me was to beat him to death with a snake hook.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, it's crazy how you think about things in your mind and how you do things and how you want things to be done. And oftentimes it is difficult to translate that to another person, and whether it be verbally or by physically showing them or whatever. And you got to have that in the back of your mind that they're not going to do it right, or they're not going to do it the way that you instructed them to do it. And what's your contingency plan, or what's your plan B, C, D, E, F, you know? So
you have to be, it is, you have to be 10 steps ahead of them. And like I said, he felt absolutely terrible. And this is someone that's been with me for a long time, who's a very competent handler, a very safe handler.
Sure.
But it's part of the learning process. And if you're going to be there and you're going to be there to protect them, you know, shit like that's going to happen.
Yeah. That was always my thing. And I've mentioned it previously on other episodes and stuff. Like when I was keeping, and I just had my Atrox and a copperhead, but it's one of those things, especially with the Atrox, where it's like, if it's going to spaz out, let it do its thing. Like there's nothing saying you have to stop it and make sure it stays within the bucket or whatever. Like if it's going to have a moment, let it do its thing. If you got the space, you know, like just,
So I train my staff. I don't care if it takes you 60 seconds or 60 minutes to move that animal and do it safely. Take your time. And I move very quickly. In our extraction procedures, I try to keep it to 60 seconds. So that's snake to the table, pinned, extracted from, returned to the tub. And unless we're doing a venom show, of course, because then we're taking our time and showing the snake to the public and all that kind of stuff from behind the glass. But, you know, in 60 seconds, that snake should be extracted from, have a clean tub, have a prey item, and have fresh water. End of story. And they watch me work that quickly, and I'm like, this is decades of experience. You know, you
don't feel obligated. Like
don't feel obligated to do that.
Pace.
Exactly. Take your time. And I've watched some interns starting out with we have some cottonmouths that are real fucking cottonmouths, and
nice.
I'm like, fiddle fuck with the snake, not fuck around with it, but fiddle fuck and let it tire out and take your time. Because I don't care. Just get the snake safely into the can, replace its tub, feed it, put it back in, you know. And that's something I really try to preach to them. You know, it's never a race, especially when you're working with mambas. It's never a race.
And one thing that me and Henry always told was, well, obviously we're not working a venom line, so time isn't necessarily of the essence, but come back later. You know, if the animal's not feeling it and it's going bananas, come back later. Come back when it's more chill. Try another approach. Give yourself a break, you know?
We have a just over 10-foot female black mamba, and she's one of the most challenging animals in the lab to handle as far as for extraction, because she's smart enough. She knows when extraction is coming. And there are plenty of times that I have turned away doing that animal to wait until its attitude has changed. You know, because it's not worth it to me to take an envenomation from that snake when I can I'll do a different black mamba. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it. And I wish more people worked with patients, you know,
well, I think people
it's such a key.
Like, people get in this box where they feel like if this animal goes outside of this invisible sort of like perimeter that I have, like you panic, where it's not like all of a sudden you don't feel like it's contained, you don't feel like it's under control. But it's one of those things where if you're in a room that has like the proper setup and stuff,
Yeah.
it's okay if it zigs when it should have zagged. Like just the thing is just remaining calm and like letting it do its thing. That was because that Atrox I had, man, that was a little firecracker, man. It wasn't.
They can be
big one.
horrible.
Yeah,
They can be absolute. I would say, in my experience personally, that they are worse than Bothrops. You know, like Crotalus atrox can be worse than a Bothrops to deal with.
Yeah.
Because a Bothrops, in a lot of cases, will ride a hook or a double hook.
Sure.
You know, an Atrox that's all pissed off is flipping itself around and fucking
sliding
striking and everything.
Yeah.
You know, they can be terrors. So, yeah.
Well, on a side note, are you doing anything with Heloderma?
Yeah, we're extracting from them quite a bit. The demand for the venom hasn't been there heavily, but we do quite a bit with them. And we keep a good stockpile of their toxins.
Nice. They're doing a bunch of stuff with diabetes medicine, right?
Yes, and there's one lab that just does Heloderma that provides for that.
Okay.
And so that's their focus. It's all they do. But we've done a little bit of stuff for research for it. But it's more for fun and education, you know, like it's good to have the venom on the shelf regardless. But you know, the way we extract from them lets people really see the teeth and, you know, really see the chewing motion and stuff like that. So people get a good lesson in their physiology as far as venom delivery.
Yeah, man.
How many are you having to extract from to get any sizable amount of venom?
You get a lot.
Really?
Yes. If you're doing it right, you'll get quite a bit of venom.
And you guys are doing like the speculum in the mouth and then like the pipette thing?
No. We take we use Pilsner glasses because they're easiest to sterilize.
Sure.
But we take a Pilsner glass, and then we use a hollow tube and let them chew on that. And that way, with the hollow tube, some people don't use something hollow, but what we found is using something hollow, I get the venom out of the center of the tube and from the exterior.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever they're salivating, that isn't going all the way through the grooves of the teeth because the teeth are into the tube.
Mm-hmm.
So we get what feels like twice the venom.
Sure.
And it works out fantastic. I mean,
it's like a rubber hose kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like like catheter tubing.
No, it's
okay.
literally sterilized automotive radiator hose.
Wow.
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works, man. That's crazy.
Well,
that's awesome.
That's always the funny thing, and that's the thing that goes back to Bill Haast and my mentor is, you know, there's not purpose-built shit for this industry.
Yeah.
You got to find what works. I mean, you know, it's like for our king cobras are all tube fed, a snake eater diet that Bill and Jack Facene came up with. And basically what we do, you know, we use cow milking hose, you know, as the, you know, as the hose to deliver the food down the esophagus. I mean, you just find what works best through trial and error, and there's always a better way to do it. There's always, you know, we try to not be stuck in what Bill and Jack did forever. We try to do things in new and inventive ways.
But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, you also think in terms of like the history of it, Haast especially. I mean, he was he was the pioneer of it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was the pioneer of
He sort of set the
him-
standard.
Yeah, exactly. And he had a lot of success. And, you know, every animal on his venom line, this was something I asked Jack when we first got to know each other that I never knew, was Bill cannula fed every single snake on his venom line.
Wow.
Nothing got a rodent.
Wow.
Ever. And so Bill was doing, you know, weekly weights on the snakes, and he was ever evolving his diet for them. And, you know, he basically mastered it. So it's kind of interesting because we're to a point where we know if a snake comes in at so many grams, we know exactly how much tube diet to give it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
How
based
did
off
you think
his
about
work.
if he never did it, or if, you know, Vicente never did it? You know, like, how long would it have taken for people to kind of figure it out?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be ridiculous. Yeah, for sure. People would still be shoving rodents down, as far as venom lines go, shoving rodents down the fucking snakes' throats.
Yeah.
You know,
Soaked in a mineral oil and massaged down. Ugh.
sounds delicious. And like we
Yeah.
said earlier, erotic.
Yeah, right. I mean, I just remember, like, before people really took on to the whole tube feeding thing, you know, talking about assist feeding and force feeding, and just countless times people in my past that I don't associate with anymore, or just people that you haven't talked to in forever, and literally taking like a small rat and just soaking it in mineral oil and then literally just massaging it down. And then I've seen it where they use an implement like a snake probe to kind of force it. And I've seen bad mouth infections. I've seen perforated esophaguses, which is the worst thing ever, and that's so traumatic. Oh, and it's just not worth it, you know.
And that's what's tough about tube feeding, is selecting the right tube, selecting tube size, I should say. You know, selecting or figuring out the right depth to go. You know, learning. You know, I was pretty rough on some of my snakes, you know, while I was learning those methods.
Yeah.
And there's no way to learn.
Yeah.
But by doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I feel about popping and probing stuff too. It's like, you can watch all the videos you want, but until you get your hands on it, and you just, like, obviously be gentle and obviously take your time. And if you're questioning something as you're doing it, then stop and come back to it. Same thing as what we were talking about a few minutes ago. Like, that's the way I had to teach myself to probe and to pop some stuff, is like, I'm going to be gentle as much as I can, but I gotta, like, this is something I need to know how to do, you know.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good picture. I'm gonna quick send it to you guys.
Yeah. Here, if you want to send it to me on Facebook Messenger, that way it's easier, because I'll just throw it up. I have the window open already.
All right, I had to crop it quick. I know this is boring.
No, you're good, man. It's what we do.
I might have to have the thumbs up picture as my new lock screen wallpaper.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, it went to you because I had the window open.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's cool.
I save it and send it to Phil.
Yeah, it's easy.
Why does it have a sea urchin in its
Oh my.
Actually, that's an echidna. I lied.
Oh my. Look at this. Look at this.
Isn't that a cool picture?
That's a fantastic photo. Hold on. Let's throw this up here.
Is that a viridis?
That is a king.
Oh, okay.
All right. Look at the teeth. So, how the hell did you pop a king?
An adult king-ish, a big king, not a small
Yeah.
king.
It is a big king.
This was it like 6
so-
foot?
What was that?
Was it like 6 foot?
Oh no, bigger than that. That
Oh, really?
was
Okay.
10,
Okay.
10-ish. Well, 9.5, between 9.5 and 10 feet. We were actually feeding it, and I always have our lab manager holding the back of the snake, and he's like, as I'm putting the cannula down and doing the feeding, and he's like, Jesus Christ, it just jizzed the fuck all over.
Oh my God! Stop! You're turning it on.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course it emptied its bowels before that, and then shot that out.
Yeah, nice.
And so, a lot of people don't get to see king's hemipenes. So
I mean, you always see them in animals that are like preserved or dead. You don't ever see it. I've never had one pop one out like that.
Yeah, man. Very cool. And it's interesting to see the actual hemipenal spines. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah. And it, like, I hate to get graphic, but were they rigid? Did you get to touch them or no? Was it just kind of like
no,
a
we
split-second
didn't.
thing?
We didn't
them?
touch them at all.
Okay. Yeah, just because of cleanliness and whatever else.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting is going back to our whole Atractaspis conversations, in the Weinstein and Worrell book, it actually talks about studies where they have, obviously they're all, museum specimens, but they were comparing the length of the hemipenal spines in the tapering of the actual hemipene itself and matching it up to grooves in the female's entry to the oviducts.
For sure.
And saying how certain species, like that's part of the way that they were differentiating species, was do these hemipenal spines.
Key and lock.
Yeah, the key and lock. You got it.
Wow.
Crazy, man. I've never
Yeah,
seen that before.
I just thought that'd be cool to share with you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
It's a little nerdy.
Dude, that's what we do, man.
Sarlacc
This is it. The Sarlacc pit.
I can see Boba Fett falling into it right now.
Oh! Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Well, on that note, we're at the 2-hour mark, gentlemen. Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
What's your favorite Bothrop species and why is it redesigned?
It's Asper, baby. Asper all the way.
Oh, those big, that neck just gets me. Ugh.
They're terrors. They're absolute terrors, but they're fun.
Oh man, you guys and your South American shit, man. I can't get behind it. I will say this: Henry and I got to play with a Micrurus surinamensis for a while, and that I've contemplated trying to work with, but I just feel like the whole fish diet and aquatic and not for me.
So we still have ours. We're 2.5 years in with them now.
Nice.
I don't think is an exaggeration.
That's awesome.
And one thing I did that worked out really well. So we had like a fucking tub, and where the heat pad is, we had warm water in there, and then cool water, and then of course dry between there. And we let the snake thermal regulate through the water how it wanted to. And we had really good success. Yeah. But
cool.
Again, one reptile person said we fucking cheat because they're tube fed as well. But
no, that's
I want the snake to live.
Yeah.
And
what a weirdo.
Yeah.
And I thought about that too. I'm in South Florida. Henry's in South Florida. We don't really worry about like fish tank heaters and stuff like that. But I imagine that it would be difficult to do a snake with an in-water aquarium heater. You'd have to do something like a heat pad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I've seen some of the people that do like some of the like sea crates and stuff over in Asia where they have because it's all salt water, they have the heating element in the sump. So that way there's no actual heating element in the tank where the snake is. So, but I feel like that's a lot of extra stuff for the microurus, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've found that with those guys, going as basic as possible is the best route. Just keep it as simple as you possibly can, and they do great. They do great.
Which is kind
If
of
you
ironic because you'd think it would be sort of the opposite. But
Yeah.
if you decide to get some the next time they come in, just hit me up, and I'll give you info on what I did. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying it's 100% the right way, but we've had success. So
That's awesome, man. That's the way to do it. Little Darth Maul snakes. I love it.
oh, they're awesome.
Oh,
the
well, man.
Microurus and Microroides rabbit hole is vast and deep.
Dude, there's so many of them.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But there's only one that matters, and that's Fulvius.
Fulvius is awesome.
Can you tell me why I can never see a live one?
Dude, I've been down there with all the quote unquote great field herpers. I've kept my Microurus for a long time. I have yet to see one in the wild.
They're everywhere here where I live, but I only see dead ones.
But yet every time I'm down in Florida, I see Eastern Diamondbacks, and everyone tells me that's rare as shit to see all these Easterns.
I would say that Fulvius is way rarer than an Eastern. Because it's all right place, right time, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, shit, I've been herping Florida 20 years, man, and I've never found one. I've had plenty of people call me up and say, hey, I put it in a bucket for you. What do you want me to do with it? And I'm like, great.
Oh, I mean, you go to P and Cody's, you walk around the front yard, and they got them just crawling around.
Well, not when I was there.
I blame Cody.
That is, yeah, fair enough.
Probably.
Fuck Cody.
I saw when Cody signs on to the live show, he when he uses Facebook, it doesn't have his name, it just says Facebook user. So he's one of the only people that does that. So whenever I see Facebook user in the chat, I'm like, oh, fucking Bartolini's spying.
So one of the few good dudes.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna listen to this later, and he's gonna text us and say, I fucking let that thing go on purpose for you guys.
No, but I live on an island in here in South Carolina, and there's a ton of corals, but I can never seem to see a live one. I will see them road pizza all day long, but I don't know. I need to ask Jack what when the prime time is and why am I not looking then?
Ask Preston Tomborello. That kid can find them he could find a coral snake in Wisconsin.
Well, Preston is a poop face because he sends me on wild goose chases, and and I don't think he listens to the show, which he should, and so that he could hear me call him a poop face on air. I will say this though, Preston is if he says go X, Y, and Z, I assume it's a goose chase. But when he's with me, the fucking kid presents. He says, "Oh, I think there's going to be some rat snakes in those rocks right there," and then boom, rat snake. Oh, I think there's going to be a pygmy over in those bushes. Boom, pygmy. He's got the gift, man. He's got the gift.
He's got the gift. The snake. For me, the snake could be crawling over my fucking shoe, and I'd miss it. That's why I have to go with people like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Witching hour.
It is.
Say our thank yous and goodbyes.
Correct.
All right.
It is time.
It is time.
This was episode 137 of Snakes and Stogies, which is brought to you by BlackBox Cages. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram, blackboxcages.com. Get yourself a cage. Get yourself a rack. Everyone else is whack.
And the fine people of the Pacific Northwest, the Gendra, the Puget pythons.
Seriously, you get a cage or a rack from BlackBox and you message them, you're actually going to hear back about your order and its status. You're not going to get abandoned like so many other companies seem to do. I was literally looking at Facebook comments and some of the other companies and stuff over the weekend, just out of some of the ads popped up on my feed. And people were literally like, I have a cage and I don't know what the status is of it. I ordered it 6 months ago. And I'm not even talking about some of the main companies. I'm talking about some of the other ones. It seems to be a running theme with a lot of the caging companies. You order something and then you never know when you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Not the case with BlackBox. So,
Yeah.
that's my spiel.
And the best packing and freight in North America. Hands down.
Yes.
Well, Nathaniel, where can people find you and MToxins?
So they can find us at mtoxins.com. And if there's questions or anything, we love it. So feel free to contact us through the page. Also, we have a Facebook and an Instagram at mtoxins venom lab. So yeah, you can come and berate us there, attack us in the comments. You know, do it.
Tell us how we should be keeping all of our large or tiny bittis and giant 7-foot enclosures with climbing trees and
Yes,
Yes.
because everyone we found in fucking Africa was under a log. So by all means, please come and tell me
Yeah, that's good.
what we're doing wrong. No, we love to hear from people. We love to hear from people. So
That's good, man. It's good.
really enjoyed it. It was a good show.
Yeah. Great time, man. Great time.
it was fun, and none of us pulled our dicks out.
Well, that's because it's from like the sternum up.
Phil's not even wearing pants. Phil's been naked this entire time.
Meanwhile, Nathaniel's not even on camera, so he's probably just nude the whole time.
Maybe.
Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll never
Maybe
know.
I'm
for me to know and you
doing
to find out.
the Doritos and dog thing. You never know.
I thought I heard lapping in the background.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's always fun.
Thanks for coming on some short notice too.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely.
We'll be back Thursday. I think we're doing a Corn Stars episode. I'm not entirely sure. Still figuring that out. But yeah. So everyone have a good evening. Thank you. We'll see you all later.
Bye.